I wanted to make this because as a lot of people don't know, a lot of people go to upper cervical chiropractors and they go there for a while. They get like C1 work, C2 work, fixed rotation. And I went to 8 upper cervical chiropractors. I've been more than 100 times, and never once did any chiropractor mention it in any way that I need regenerative therapy. Like I had an 18-degree rotation on my C1, and the first thing a chiropractor should have said to me is, "Hey, the only way your C1 gets that rotated is if you have significant ligament damage." Like maybe you don't have ligament damage if it's like, 2 or 3 degrees, you know. But if it's like 5 degrees or higher, like if my C2's always been fine, but let's say I go to the upper cervical chiropractor one day and they're like, yeah, your C2 is 6 degrees rotated. I'd be like, all right, well, I'm going to schedule an appointment at a regenerative therapy place for like PRP or stem cells or something, because that ligament's damaged. Because otherwise, it just wouldn't sit in that spot. I mean, you could try like to put it back in place and see if it stays, and if it does, great. But I mean, there's like I would go to those places and like Dr. Pancake up in Kissimmee. I'd go to him and I'd see all these older people there, and they'd be like, "Yeah, I've been coming here for like 3 years, 4 years, and like I come like once a month, every 2 weeks, or whatever." And he puts me back in place, and it's like your ligaments are damaged. Like it wouldn't take that. Like maybe it'd take a month or two if the ligaments weren't damaged for it to stay in place. But it's like you just there's a reason it's not staying in place, because the ligaments holding it in place aren't holding it in place. So it's just freely floating around in there. And so they push it one way, and then you go to bed and lay down, and it goes back the other way. Like, it's insane. Like, they won't tell you this, and I'm like, how do you not? And I talk to them. Like, some of these guys are good guys. Like, I talked to my chiropractor up north in Ohio, Precision Chiropractic, because he didn't seem too aware of regenerative medicine, and then my chiropractor down here, Kleinman, he didn't seem that aware of when it's necessary, and it's like any doctor looking at me, even like now, if I'm like 10 degrees rotated on my C1, we got it down to about 10, but it won't go back any further. Like, if you see someone 10 degrees rotated, their ligament's damaged. And I could go to a new chiropractor, new upper cervical chiropractor, they could see that. And they definitely wouldn't tell me, like, yeah, you need regenerative therapy, you need PRP, stem cells, prolotherapy, you need something because your ligaments are damaged. And they just don't say it. It's like, because I guess one, they don't know, but two, also like if you keep coming, then if you don't fix that ligament, you're gonna keep coming back forever, right? Like if you go get an injection, then maybe you go see them like 2 or 3 times, and you're done, and that's it. And so it's like, whereas like without it, maybe you go to see them like 12 times. And it's just crazy. Like if you're someone out there going to an upper cervical chiropractor and you see something, I'd say 5 degrees or higher, then get a digital motion X-ray and get checked out for instability. And it's expensive, but it's like, I guess if you're like, I'm only 5 degrees out, I feel fine, I don't have symptoms, I don't want to spend $500 on a DMX or 600 or whatever. And regenerative therapy is also expensive, but I mean, if you just cost aside, if you want to fix the problem and you can try to do it, I'd say like give it like 3 or 4 sessions. If you're not seeing any improvement, then like if you get to a point where you have diminishing, like no improvement, and you go, even if you're like 4 degrees rotated, if you go and they move you, and sometimes they can even take an X-ray afterwards and be like, look, see, now you're lined up now, whereas before you were not. But then you go back later and the X-ray, take another X-ray 2 weeks later, and you're back at 4 degrees rotated. If that happens, then your ligaments just messed up. So if you want to fix that problem permanently, you need to fix the ligament, which usually you could do with regenerative therapy. Physical therapy might help too. Like if you there's like an iron neck is good for exercising your neck, and there are a variety of neck exercises you can find online. So that's a free option. Well, no, iron neck costs money, but it's a good investment. Like I think like literally everyone in our society should have an iron neck or do some sort of neck exercise, because all the time we spend looking at screens. Like if you're just sitting and looking at a TV, you're using cervical muscles, um, and putting strain on ligaments. And if you own a cell phone, I mean, you're probably looking down at your cell phone 20 hours a week. That's 20 hours your head's forward, plus all the computer time, which is probably another 20 plus hours. You know, I don't know. Maybe, let's say conservatively, the average person's getting 20 to 30 hours of head forward screen time a week. So that's like, you need a strong neck to prevent problems. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, if you're going to see an upper cervical chiropractor, then you need to know, because they're not going to tell you. They either don't know or don't give a shit. Like they just, and they need to start to, it's in their benefit to work with, because they could do referrals where like they refer to a regenerative medicine place and get money for that. And then also people would go to that doctor because they'd know like, hey, when I go to this doctor, I'm getting permanently fixed, because they're helping me like figure out what the root cause of the problem is. And then that doctor gets really good ratings on Google and whatever, and people go to them. It's good for the customers, the patients, because then like you get fixed permanently. And I understand like if you can't get regenerative therapy because of cost, that's the thing. It's expensive in upper cervical. It's quite expensive, but it's also the kind of thing where like if you were 5 degrees rotated, like in your C1, maybe 6 in your C2, you could put your injections at Regenex. Maybe it costs you $4,000 or $5,000, but it's like then you're good. Like then your neck is strong. You prevent problems too, because now that problem's not going to get worse. You get back to zero with maybe a few more adjustments to the chiropractor, and now you're good for probably several years to come. I don't know. I don't know the date on like, but like you're going to be a lot stronger for a lot longer, and prevent problems, which could cause a host of neurological issues down the line. It cause you sleep problems. It cause you pain. So it's like seems worth it in the long run. And I mean, in the next 10 years, a lot of places probably cover regenerative medicine too, so you can just cover it under insurance. And yeah, so heads up to people that are getting upper cervical chiropractic care. If you're not seeing results, or if you're going back forever like all those elderly people I see, like you need to get ligaments fixed by regenerative medicine, probably. Um, I mean, you could try physical therapy, but you know that you, especially if it's been a long-term thing where you've had issues with C1, C2, and then yeah, you're gonna need help. So, uh, oh, and neck curve. A lot of chiropractors don't give a shit about neck curve, especially upper cervicals. They won't mention it. They'll be like, "Oh, you got a straight neck. Let's do nothing about it." It's like, what? Why? Having a straight neck makes it more easy to damage your C1 and C2 ligaments, and leads to them being unstable, and causes major problems down the line. Like if you have a straight neck, the odds that you have a major clusterfuck of a problem later in life are fairly decent, I think. Like, I mean, sorry, much higher. I don't know how much they are. Maybe they go from 2% to 5%. I don't know, but like maybe they go from 25% to 50%. I don't know what the stats are, but I know that they are significantly higher than having a good curve to your neck. So that's for sure. There's tons of literature on that. You can Google and look, like check out like how much more prone you are to injury, much more prone you are to straining the ligaments all the time, because the ligaments are built when the thing is curved, and then now when you straighten it, the ligaments are like ropes attached to the vertebrae, and now they are stretched. So, I mean, your vertebrae is not quite like you have a. It's more than just one curve. There's a couple curves to your cervical vertebrae, your neck. But you get the idea. Like the ligaments are built for that position, and then when you straighten things out, it screws the ligaments up, puts more strain on them. And then the physics of it, not just the position of them, not just them stretching, not the action of the vertebrae straightening relative to one another, and then stretching ligaments. But it's also like the shock absorption feature of it, and then like when you lean forward with a straight neck versus lean forward with a curved neck, there's more strain on upper cervical ligaments. So that's like it might sound like, oh, that's a thing that kind of matters if you're like super into like taking care of your body and it doesn't really matter. But it's like, no, that's like if you have a straight neck, then you need to focus on fixing that as much as, if not more, than you do any other, like getting vertebrae aligned. Like it's huge. So you need to fix your neck curve. And that's something you can do at home. There's like stuff on Amazon, I forget what they are, but there's a variety of devices for fixing neck curve on Amazon. It's like some inflatable thing you lay on. You can roll up a towel, stick it under your neck. There's halo neck weights you can wear standing up. There's all sorts of stuff. But I mean, it can, like for me, it pulled my C1 vertebrae off my internal jugular veins and reduced my tinnitus just by correcting the curve of my neck, resulted in a bigger gap between my styloid and my transverse process of my C1. Only a few millimeters, but that allows some flow of blood, whereas before I had no flow. So your neck curve is hugely important. I've seen people go and have all sorts of like issues with increased heart rate and anxiety. People have like severe anxiety problems, and they have a straight neck curve. Fix the neck curve. Now the vagus nerve isn't being squashed, so now the anxiety goes down. Hot and cold flashes. Fix a neck curve. I can fix those. I can help with those. So it's like and prevent injury to your vertebrae. They can absorb forces from all different directions a lot better. It's like a spring when it's coiled or semi-coiled is a shock absorber. But if you stretch out a spring like pretty far, it's not going to absorb shock. It's just going to break, bend. It's not good. So your neck's supposed to be like a spring, sort of. So yeah, I hope this helps someone get better and not end up spending the rest of their life going to the same damn chiropractor for the same damn problem.